Hey, what's going on, Los Angeles? Welcome to the Rams Skinny here on the LAFB Network. I'm Ryan Dyer, joined as always by the main man, Mr. Skinny T, and we're here talking all things Rams. Power rankings are out. Rams are on a bye, so what a better time to talk about where the Rams rank within the rest of their NFL counterparts. But first and foremost, Skinny T, how you doing? How you enjoying this fine Southern California day?
Dude, I gotta say, it's a ball night. NBA is back, baby. Lakers, Warriors tonight. We've got baseball on Friday, World Series. We've got Thursday night football with the Chargers. No Rams though, but so much good stuff happening in sports right now for the LA area. Well, maybe not for the Chargers, but it's when you love sports, this is a beautiful time of year. I have to say, I love this time of year. All the sports are on TV. It's great.
It's incredible. It's incredible. It's even with the Rams and USC both on a bye this week, there is still so much LA sports on. Our Kings need to get it right. I don't know what's going on with the Kings. We're not going to dive into that, but they're off to a horrible start, which, I think they're a true cup contender, or at least I did. So they got to get back on track, but we'll see what these Lakers look like. Yeah. No, the LeBron-less Lakers, truly Luka's team, which we all knew it was going to be anyway, but now it really is. With no LeBron on the court. We'll see how they look, but that'll be fun. Yeah. Lakers Warriors. It's always a fun matchup.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So, Rams on a bye. You did the live show with Aaron after, so we don't got to recap the game, but just because we haven't talked, I mean, the most dominant performance by this team this season came at the right time. And clearly their business trip mentality flying over just the day before we talked about on the pre-live worked out well, right? They just went in, took care of business, and man, they look dominant. They look like the Rams team that we've been pining for. And I think we've been probably a little critical, more critical than others. And it's because we think this team can be really dang good. And they showed that on Sunday against a good Jacksonville team, and the defense completely shut them down. Now, I thought there was some interesting decision-making by Liam Cohen, just continuing to go for it instead of just taking some points and trying to get some momentum. But the defense overall played well. The offense was just without their arguably best player on offense, and it was their best offensive production of the season. So just what were your, and then we'll get into power rankings, but just your thoughts on our Rammies on Sunday in London.
Yeah, you said it. I mean, we have been critical, and we've taken some heat for that. We've had some people saying, you can't criticize this team. Look how good they're doing. Look at their record. They could be, 7-0 at this point in the year. But it's only because of our high expectations for this team. We wanted to see them look like a Super Bowl contender that could compete with the highest and best level in the league. And they did it. This is exactly what we wanted to see. So it's heading into the bye week, it feels so much different over the last couple of years. And I kind of touched on this in the last show. Last 2 years, they were not looking like a good team. This year, they're looking like a really good team and attracting national attention. So we'll talk. That's kind of why we want to touch in with these power rankings today. But, here's an interesting wrinkle. Puka Nacua goes down. They changed their offensive game plan pretty drastically. I don't know if you saw all the stuff out there about the high usage of 13 personnel in this game. You can't do that with both Puka Nacua and Davante Adams healthy. So what is the offense going to look like when he's back in? And these high ankle sprains, they're a little tricky. So is it right after the bye? Is it they're going to kick the can down the road a bit? But absolutely exactly what we wanted to see against the Jaguars. But still lots to learn about this team. And we're heading up against a NFL trade deadline that is quickly approaching.
Yeah. I think we'll definitely on our next show, we'll do a trade deadline show and some targets out there. But you said it. The last 2 years going to the bye, it was like, all right, well, this team is either going to miss the playoffs entirely or have to have a full turnaround. And they were able to do that both times going to the bye, they were well under 500. So this time going in at 5-2 and looking like one of the top teams in football, certainly in a much better spot. So the question, and then we'll move into the power rankings, Skinny, is it concerning to you that the offense looked better without Puka Nacua, or was it more of a product of great adaptation from Sean McVay, from Matthew Stafford, from the rest of this team, that they were able to kind of pick up the slack without having the star that is Nacua?
It's more concerning that the way the offense looked when Puka Nacua was in than how it looked without. We know what Sean McVay is. He's this guy that can scheme this up, and he's got 4 quality tight ends on the team. And he said, let's get them touches. Let's get them targets. Let's get them blocking.
Yep.
So how do you marry those two? And, it reminds me a bit of the conversation we had about Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp last year, over the last 2 seasons. How does it look? Can the guys ever mesh together and both have great games where it's, it's a Kupp game or it was a Nacua game. And so now that's, I think that's the question is Matthew Stafford only going to target Nacua when he's back? And, it's great. You want to go to the open guy, right? That's not,
Yeah.
It's only a problem when he gets hurt. Right. But, Sean McVay said it really well. He said when the best offenses he's ever been the head of is when everybody's involved. And I don't know what that conversation that he and Stafford are having about, targeting other guys. But what was it? 10? I think I went through the depth chart and I counted it up, and it was like anybody that was available got targeted.
Yeah. 10 different receivers with a catch, I believe is what it was. So, I mean, I think it just shows that as good as Nacua is, this offense is better when you spread the ball around. And the main reason being, because a lot of people point to the stats and say, well, look, they're moving the ball. This is where they are. But the main reason, I mean, not the main reason, but one of the reasons why the red zone offense has struggled is because it's a lot easier to bottle up one player in the red zone. And so if you haven't been dispersing the ball and having other guys involved and everyone knows you're going to 1A or 1B down there, that creates a problem in shorter yardage situations in the red zone. So the fact that now they're able to be multiple and using different schematic sets, you hope that they can continue that once Nacua is back. Because there's no doubt, like, this offense can be way better with Nacua in the lineup. It's just how the utilization with him along with the rest of the skill players balances out. And that'll be the fun part to see as they build through the bye and then into their next game. Or when he is back, I guess I should say, because it's one of those, I would expect him back after the bye, but as you mentioned, Skinny, those ankles can just, linger. We've seen players that end up dressing, but just aren't right, in terms of 100% health. So that'll be interesting to see. Quickly, Skinny, before we get into our power rankings, shout out to our friends over at Sleeper. You've heard us say it all the time, but if you have not already, please go download the Sleeper app. It's free. It's the #1 sports app right now. And it's not just for season-long fantasy, even though it's the best season-long fantasy app out there, way better than ESPN or Yahoo or any of the others. They also give you live stats, in-game stats. They have a chat that you can chat with other users, all that fun stuff. It's intuitive. It looks great. But the best part, Skinny, is the daily fantasy. It's a pick 'em, 2 to 8 players across any sport. You do Dodgers and World Series, do the Lakers game tonight, do the Kings game, or wait for the Rams game in 2 weeks, college football, all of it. 2 to 8 players. Just choose more or less, and you can win real money. So right now, when you go to make your first deposit, make sure you use our promo code RAMSLAFB. It's all one word, RAMSLAFB. You're going to get a match bonus up to $100. You don't have to put in 100. You can put in 10, and they'll match you $10. But if you put up to $100, they'll give you $100 free to play with. But wait, Skinny, there's more. Right now, when you go sign up, if you're a first-time user, you get a $20 free entry, no deposit required. You can stack both these offers. You take the free 20, go use that promo code RAMSLAFB to deposit and get that stack as well and start winning some real money. Sleeper, telling the guys over at the LAFB network sent you. So power rankings, Skinny. I don't know exactly how you want to do this, but I'll just kind of go through some of them. But for the most part, they seem to be between 3 and 7 across most of the major platforms. We'll give our rankings at the very end. Let's start. Well, what do you think? Should I just list all of them? I have ESPN, Athletic, NFL Network, and Bleacher Report. Should I just list them all, or should we go one by one?
Yeah, let's just list them all.
Yeah. I feel like there'll be a lot of crossover, so no point going one by one. So ESPN, Lions 1, Colts 2, Eagles 3, Buccaneers 4, Rams 5. Athletic has the Lions 1, the Colts 2, and the Rams 3, with the Chiefs at 4 and the Eagles running out the top 5. NFL Network is actually the lowest on the Rams. Lions 1, Colts 2. Seems to be kind of the consensus. They bumped the Chiefs all the way up to 3. Seahawks at 4. Packers at 5. Eagles at 6. Rams down at 7. And then our friends over at Bleacher Report has the Colts at 1 and the Rams at 2. So the highest ranking. So if you can remember all those that I said, Skinny, whose do you have the biggest problem with? I'll just start with that.
It's glaring. It's NFL.com.
Yeah, 7.
Eric Edholm. I like the guy. He's a good writer for sure. But 7, I mean, you look at some of these teams above him, the Eagles. Okay, maybe let's, there's a conversation to be had there. But the Packers squeaking out a win against the James Connerless, Jacoby Brissett led Cardinals team. I don't know, man. I'm having a hard time with that for sure. So at least I would bump them up at least 2 in their rankings. Seattle, had a fine game as well. But not playing, they were playing they beat the Texans. So yeah. What are your thoughts on those?
Yeah. I mean, definitely the biggest issue one is the NFL. I mean, I'm just shocked that Rams that low. I won't add 2. I think the Eagles, again, at this point in the season, head to head doesn't matter as much in power rankings. Obviously there's a factor in there, but it's not just like, oh, this team beat this team, so they have to be above them because you played enough games now. We're not in weeks, 2 and 3. And the Eagles just don't look like a very good football team right now. They've struggled obviously since really beating the Rams. They lost to Denver in that comeback at home, and they've had other difficulties. They lost to the Giants, and they just don't look like a bad team, but they don't look like a team that is getting better each week. They're like declining. There's issues with AJ Brown and all that stuff. So I wouldn't have the Eagles above them right now. I totally agree with you that the Packers, while have a lot of the pieces, they too have not looked like they've gotten stronger. When you look at teams that are rising at the right time, and power rankings, if you're going to do them weekly, they should kind of be based on a weekly basis. So that's why I understand like the Chiefs with their big rise. They're at 4 and 3, but I mean, the last 2 weeks they've looked like probably the best team in football. So that one I get. Eagles and whoever Packers haven't looked like that. So I definitely put them above them. And then the Seahawks, you could debate. I think that's just a divisional bait. In my opinion, I think the Seahawks are still like a year away from being a true contender. Love me some Sammy D, being a former Trojan. I think Mike McDonald's a good coach and they're playing some good defense. But I don't think they're above the Rams right now. We'll see. They get to play them twice now after the bye. But yeah, I totally agree with you. You got to have them above the Packers and Eagles right now.
Yeah, for sure. The Seahawks are an interesting one. The ascension of JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba to the kind of the premier level. He's being in conversations like Puka Nacua now, which is crazy to see that ascension. Going all the way to the top of these different rankings, how are we feeling about where the Colts and the Lions are? Those seem to be pretty much the consensus, at all of these. I'm looking through all of them real quickly. Yeah, it's like the Ringer has the Kansas City Chiefs as the number 1 team right now. That's the one that kind of breaks away from the tradition.
Where does the Ringer have the Rams? I didn't even look at the Ringer.
They have them at number 3.
3, okay. So what do they have? Chiefs and then
Lions, Rams. And I'm starting to feel number 3 is the right answer. If not higher. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's hash it out.
So the Colts, what's funny is the Colts' one loss is to the Rams. They're 6-1, only one loss in the season, and it is to the Rams here at SoFi in that 2-2 walk-off, if you will, at SoFi. So, but I think the Colts are a legit team. They've got absolutely have a running game and Jonathan Taylor back. Their offensive line is solid. At this point, Daniel Jones is playing lights out. Like, we'll see if he can be that quarterback that is just in the right situation now and good. Is not just like a 1-year wonder. Like I think Sam Darnold's proving that, right? Like last year in Minnesota broke out and everyone's like, oh, well, was it just because of KOC? I think he's proving in Seattle that he is actually a good quarterback. It was just terrible situation with the Jets and Carolina and wherever he was before. Geno Smith, that's another question. Geno Smith looks pretty awful now, not being in that Seattle system, even though his first year was Pete Carroll. But he looks pretty bad now in Vegas. So the key with Jones, but that's later down the line. Right now, he looks great. The Colts look great. They're playing good defense. The Lions, obviously, I think are really legit. They've kind of gotten over the fact of losing both their coordinators and seem like a good team again, and looked great again last night against the Buccaneers, who are in the top 5 of most of these rankings also. And the Lions absolutely dominated the Buccaneers. Obviously, Buccaneers missing some key pieces on the offensive line, missing receivers. Mike Evans went down in that game. He's probably done for the year, missing Bucky Irving. So, they're really banged up. And once they're healthy, they'll be a different football team as well. But to answer your question, I think 3 feels like a good spot. It's kind of like, do you have it go Lions, Colts, Rams? Or do you sneak the Rams above one of them because they beat the Colts? Like that's kind of the question that you have. But 3, I think, feels pretty good. What say you?
Yeah, I agree. And I think there's a world where you could bump them down to 4, depending on how you feel about the Chiefs. And they get 2 receivers back, and all of a sudden they are just as dynamic as they ever have been. Still no running back to speak of. Travis Kelce is where he is in his career. So, that's not doing him any favors, and the defense is playing admirably. So I could be talked into 4, but just after the game that the Rams had against a quality Jaguars opponent, making the adjustments that they did on offense, and the defense got like, this is a kind of defense that's got to scare the entire league. It came in with big questions at outside corner, and that's 2 spots. At safety, you like all 3 of them. Quentin Lake had himself a career game, really fighting for a second contract. I'm still on the fence if they're going to pay the man, but that's a different conversation. This defense is got to be among, just statistically advanced or otherwise, putting up pretty amazing numbers. So, is there one question for this defense I still don't know if they've answered entirely for this year against running backs? I'm still got that question mark, but that's something you can mitigate if you put up 21 points in the first half. So
yeah,
maybe it's not a big question that needs to be answered. So I think, when you're looking at the Lions, who aren't healthy either, starting 5 defensive backs that aren't their desired starters last night.
Yeah.
Chiefs, they are a behemoth. And then then the Colts. It's tough to argue with the Colts at this point. So, 3-4, could I move them up? Could I move them into top 2? It's tough. It's still tough. So yeah, I think 3-4 is the floor, and really only if you're a Seattle homer, which a lot of media members are. It seems like a lot of Patriots and Seahawks in the media. So, you got to feel good about that. And it's a strange discussion because it's all muddled in terms of a record at the top, and there's so many questions at the top of the NFC specifically. You got the Niners sitting at 5-2.
Yeah.
Trotting out just Kmart employees basically at this point. And they got the same record. So
and they beat the Rams at home. So it's incredible.
Yeah.
So do you have the Chiefs sneaking up, or you have the Lions and Colts and then the Rams?
I gotta give them respect. They are the team they are. Patrick Mahomes is who he is. Andy Reid's phenomenal. Steve Spagnuolo is great. It's just like, it's hard to argue with them. And if these 2 teams ended up on the field tomorrow, who you got in that?
Rams and Chiefs?
Yeah.
Oh man. I think right now I would lean Rams still. I think, the Chiefs, what's weird about the Chiefs is they've shown now in 2 weeks, because they beat the Lions, right? Last week, 30-17, like handled them pretty well. But then they lost to the Jags right before that. Obviously they lost to the Eagles and Chargers early on in the year to start the season 0-2. So I haven't just seen the consistency yet, but like you said, now they get some receivers back and they're getting healthier. But I think the Rams right now, I would take it. But okay, I'd say it like this: I think whoever the home team probably wins. If it's in Kansas City, I'd probably lean maybe KC winning that one. If it's in LA, I like the Rams. So it's kind of a coin flip. It's tough. I mean, all those teams. But I think for now, I would keep the Chiefs at like 4, and I'd put Rams 3 with Colts Lions at 1 and 2. I think I'd probably put Colts 1.
You'd put the Colts 1?
I think right now I'd put them 1.
Oh, nice. Wow. Love that.
I mean,
bold.
1 loss, and they've played. It's not like they've played a cupcake schedule either. I mean, they obviously lost to the Rams, but they've beaten the Broncos, who have a good record, 5-2. They've beaten, they've played some good teams. So right now, I mean, until proven otherwise, I think Colts are the best team in football, which is just insane to think about.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I could go 3-4. I mean, I do think that game's a toss-up. I'm curious what it looks like when Patrick Mahomes is under pressure from a guy like Jared Verse.
Mm-hmm.
I think the 2 receivers that they have and Travis Kelce would put the secondary into a bind a bit. But a head-to-head matchup, I'm with you. If it's a neutral site game, it's like it's a push, in terms of Vegas odds, I would say. But it's probably the question you got to ask when assessing power rankings is if these 2 teams go head-to-head, who's got the edge? And if you go up the chain on that, let's just play this out a little bit. We saw Rams Colts.
Mm-hmm.
It was a close game. Wasn't a definitive win. Couple of balls bounced the wrong direction, like they do in, Eagles game or something like that. I think the Rams could beat the Lions right now with the way their secondary is banged up, with the way their offensive line is banged up. That big question would be, does Jahmyr Gibbs have the explosive Saquon Barkley-esque game? I don't know.
Yeah, like he did last night against the Bucs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, though. I do like the Rams in that one, too, right now. They're getting healthy. The question, and we'll talk about this on the next show, but do they go out and get a premier corner in the trade market? Obviously, I think the unit looked better last week. But again, the team, and this is why getting off to a hot start is so important, because they were up 21-0. You kind of know what's coming. So that helps your secondary, too, when you know kind of what you're going up against in the offensive game plan that Jacksonville had to shift to. So I am really curious if they'll I'm sure Snead will work the phones. We'll see if anything's worth what he sees and who's even available, what guys are even available out there. But if they were to go get like a premier corner, then this team, you could say definitively is like 1 or 2, I think, if they address that. Because the rest of the field is, I mean, offensively, they can be great. Obviously, Matthew Stafford, who, I mean, this is a whole nother conversation. The fact that he's like 5th in MVP odds, like how is he not 1? Like that is just insane to me how he's getting that disrespected in terms of MVP odds. But offensive line is finally getting healthy. So linebackers are playing good. Nate Landman looks like the steal of the offseason right now. So it really just comes down to the cornerback play. If they can long-term have that play like it did last week, or if we're looking more like it did against San Francisco, where Kendrick Bourne looked like Jerry Rice out there.
Well, the next game up is the Saints, which I believe they're around 1-6 right now.
Yeah, it's a good game off the bye. Very nice.
Yeah. So, if they come out of that game, put up 35, 38 points against that defense, I think the national conversation does really start to go 1, 2, 3, hands down, and even Eric Edholm of the NFL.com would have to agree. Moving them up 4 spots. Wouldn't he feel so foolish for putting them way down at 7?
Yeah, I'm curious why. I didn't even read all his reasoning, so maybe he says it in his reasoning, but it's got to just have to do with the inconsistency and the loss to the Niners. I feel like that's the only reason how he has him that low. Because I mean, good wins against the Colts and Jags, and so it must just be that the offense has been wildly inconsistent. And last week was great, but we haven't seen that all year. But yeah, that just seems egregious to me. But when you look at the Rams after the bye, the schedule certainly is. It's not easy by any means, but it's, this season is going to go as far as, or I should say, as well as they play in the division. Because like the Niners have already played so many division games and they're sitting at 5-2. The Rams have played 1 and they lost. They're on 1. They got 5 division games coming up after the bye, plus the Lions, plus the Bucks, who are probably going to be healthier there. So they've got a good stretch of games still to kind of carry this thing out. But obviously starting with the Saints will certainly help.
Yeah, 100%. I'm curious about those Buccaneers once and if they're able to get some guys back healthy. Bucky Irving was such a big part of that offense last year, and he's been gone for the last several weeks. And you can feel it. You can definitely feel it in their offense.
Yeah, my fantasy team's feeling it too, unfortunately.
Oh, you went with Bucky for your RB?
He's in my dynasty league. I got him. So I got him as a rookie in my dynasty league, and finally he was paying off until now he's hurt. Like he was paying off great. Like I was, 5-0.
And now Mike Evans. You had Mike Evans too.
I have Mike Evans also. Literally, I do. And Baker Mayfield. So I literally started my dynasty 5-0, and I've gone 0-2 the last 2 weeks because no Evans or Bucky in a flaunting Buccaneers offense. But for the Rams' sake, hopefully that's still a sake. But we'll wrap this up here. But this is that stretch. You get the Saints, and then this 3-game stretch is going to define the season, in my opinion. Niners, Seahawks, Buccaneers. If they can go 2-3 of that stretch, then you get the Panthers, and then you get the final three division games, get the Cardinals twice and the Seahawks, with the Falcons sneaking in there too. But if they can go 2-3 down that stretch, we'll forget about that. But we'll talk about that another day. All right. Any closing power rankings thoughts?
No, but they keep climbing, and that's it's they're I'm starting to realize that this league is different than I'm used to it being. The first 4 or 5 weeks of it is like the extended preseason. It feels like where teams are really just kind of feeling themselves out and finding out who they are. And you pointed it out before, starting hot early, it can help you in the long term, because once all these teams get healthy again or start, figuring out who they are, like it's tough. It gets tougher. Yeah.
100%. The schedule stiffens up for sure, because then teams are, like you said, more in their identity and knowing what their true involvement looks like on both sides of the ball. So good time for a bye week. Get healthy, get ready. We'll be back in a couple days. We'll talk trade deadline, as that is just nearing the corner. I can't believe we're already there, Skinny. We're already 7 games into this season, which is wild. So hope everyone has a fantastic week, but we'll be back live on Thursday. So we'll see you all then. Thank you as always. This is the Ram Skinny.